we are.
Hey guys, welcome
Hello,
to Harvest
welcome.
Unpacked.
Yes,
One more episode. This is
yes.
episode 3.
Episode
Actually, no, it's 4
4.
because we did the extra.
That's right.
Um,
And so, wow, thank you for joining us. We are today on Harvest Unpacked. We've got Pastor Hiram with us, Pastor Dave, and myself. We were the three speakers for the month of September at Harvest, where we dove into a series called Bystander
Bystander
Effect.
Effect. Yeah.
And so kind of share with us. Pastor Hiram really dived into what this theory or phenomenon is.
Yeah. So, even though he didn't preach first, we're going to kind of break the order a little bit and let Pastor Hiram remind us of what this is all about. What is the bystander effect?
Okay.
Where did it come from? So,
Yes.
let's start there.
Initially, it started with a crime. The Kitty Genovese story, or the Genovese. I'm not sure how to say your name. The Kitty Genovese story in 1964, March 1964. A woman named Kitty was heading home from work. It was very late at night.
And where did this take place?
New York City, I
Wow.
believe in Queens.
Wow. Wow.
And she parked and was walking towards her apartment, and she heard footsteps behind her. By the time she got to her door, she was attacked from the behind. She was stabbed, and then she screamed out loud. And so, in New York City, these high brick walls, there's a lot of echo, so people heard her scream. People reacted to her scream. They looked out their windows, and called out, but nobody came. Initially, the attacker ran away, but when he noticed that no one was gonna stop him or help her, he came back.
Yeah.
And he followed her into an alleyway as she was trying to survive.
Yeah.
And he continued to brutalize her and left her for dead. And when he came back again, she screamed out again, and the same reactions. Windows opened, people called out, lights turned on, and actually, if you read into the story, there was a gentleman that lived in the alleyway or somewhat close to the alleyway where she was finished off, and he opened the door and then closed it.
Wow.
And so it said after the crime happened, it took them about a week to find the perpetrator, and they didn't make a big deal out of this story, out of this crime until they found out that there was a number of people that witnessed the crime.
Yeah.
And it could have intervened.
Could have done something, and didn't.
And what do they say? They say as human beings, we either don't we question, is the threat real?
Yes.
Or somebody else.
Yeah, or we question whether it's safe for us to. We don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
By that attacker.
Yeah. And will somebody else intervene?
Yeah, somebody will probably else intervene.
So I'm just gonna stay out of it.
Yes.
Which when I preached my sermon, because I came up behind you the next week, I found this statement that I think goes well with what you just said. The bystander effect is a psychology phenomenon, social psychology phenomenon, where people are less likely to help a victim when other bystanders are present.
Yes.
A phenomenon known as bystander apathy. That is so.
Yeah.
We could probably talk about that a lot.
Yes.
Bystander apathy. The main reason for this inaction is the diffusion of responsibility, where each individual feels less personal obligation to act because they assume someone else will.
Yes.
And that is the problem associated with the bystander effect. But when you pull that into the ecclesia, into the church, it's the issue that we have, not just at Harvest, but that the church has globally, where people just assume, well, pastor's going to handle that. Pastor Hiram is going to do that. So-and-so is better at that than I am. Yeah. I've always seen Sister so-and-so get that done. And so they have a diffusion of responsibility, to use this terminology here, and then slip into bystander apathy.
Yeah.
And is that, because we know biblically the Bible says that the harvest is great, but the laborers are few.
Yep.
And is it apathy? Is it we're standing back thinking, oh, somebody else is more qualified, somebody else is, I don't really have the time. I think we think a lot of different things and we don't get involved.
Which honestly, I'd like for you to then go into what you preached.
Yeah.
Because I think that one of the issues that honestly, I've just thought about it right in this moment in what you preached, because you preached about the talents, those that were given portions of money. I think the guy that didn't do anything with his had an identity issue. Because, and I don't unpack yours. Talk. Refresh our memories on
Yes.
that parable and what Jesus said.
I went into the Bystander Effect looking at Matthew 25 and the story of the talents or the story of the bag of gold. They have several different names.
Yeah.
And the story talks about a master who gave a certain portion of money, his financial portfolio, right? He gave them to three of his servants. Two of them took the money and invested and reproduced it, right? And then the third one buried it and sat on it to protect it, to make sure nothing happened to it. And when they returned, right, the first two servants gave back what they earned, gave back the money they were given, gave back what they earned from that money, and the master called them good and faithful. And then the third servant that didn't do anything with the money just
he didn't lose it.
No, he didn't lose it, but he just returned what was given to him.
Right.
He was called wicked and lazy.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
And I went into it, and we've spoken about this a lot, and we don't believe he didn't steal the money, he didn't mismanage it,
No.
Exactly.
he didn't do anything.
But to be called wicked
And lazy because he didn't
yeah.
reproduce. He didn't use the money to gain more wealth.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that was the purpose of the money. The money was an investment.
Yeah.
And I go into the idea that God is I don't believe this parable is just about money.
Right.
There's a part of it that's about money.
Yeah.
But it's about what God gives us in the sense that God gives us time.
Yes.
He gives
What
us
do you do with it?
influence,
Yes.
opportunities,
Yeah.
gifts, and talents.
Yes.
Right.
And when we don't use that to invest in God's kingdom, God looks at us, the Father looks at us as wicked and lazy.
Wow.
And that sounds brutal.
It really does.
does.
It's very
I
convicting.
believe though, and let's talk this through. This is unrehearsed. We've not talked about this in advance.
Yeah.
But the scripture, when it says that the master appropriated all this to the various individuals, it says that he gave it to them according to their ability.
Yes.
And
So it's safe to assume that the third servant hadn't proven ability. He may have been newer. He may have messed up in the past and lost money. So he may have had reason to be scared to do anything with it.
certainly.
Yeah,
But I believe the master saw something in him
I'm sure that's why he gave him
that he didn't see in himself,
Exactly.
which connects itself to the identity. I think a lot of times the bystander effect overcomes us and suffocates us
Yes.
on such a level
Yeah.
because we don't know who we are in God.
Yes.
We don't know who we are in Jesus.
Yes.
So we're scared.
Yeah.
We're afraid of doing something wrong.
Yep.
So we act, and then we're justified to us in our inaction
Yeah.
because we see a Pastor Hiram that is unbelievable with management, that is unbelievable with scheduling,
Yes.
content creation, all the different things.
And
You're just
we
a good
compare.
leader. And so you got somebody else that doesn't have the experience in you, and they're like, well, I can't
Yeah.
do what he does. What they don't know is they don't know your process.
Yeah.
They didn't know the Pastor Hiram before.
Yeah.
They only
10
know
years
this
ago,
version.
5 years ago. Yeah.
And
The thing is, God is not asking us to be Pastor Dave.
no,
God's asking
No.
us to be who God made them to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that might not be
Yes.
managing. Honestly, it might not be leadership.
Yes.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't serve.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But it becomes an excuse.
Yeah.
And honestly, this series was intended to reveal the mental state and then do our best to
Yes.
remove the excuses
Yeah.
so that we don't feel justified
Yes.
in sitting back and burying our gift
Yes.
Yeah.
or burying what has been given to us
Yeah.
and doing nothing with
That's
it.
right.
Because we all need each other to play our part.
We really do.
Yes.
None of us,
Yes.
and I brought up the
Yeah.
funny example that when the NASA program was being
I love that
off
story.
That was
being
great.
kicked off
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
You know, President John F. Kennedy was
Yeah.
touring the facility,
Yeah.
and he comes across Joe Byler, and
He's what, mopping,
he's
or-
mopping the floor, and he says, "Joe, what are you doing?" And most of us probably would have just
I'm
said,
mopping the
"Duh,
floor.
well, I mean, it's the president, so we're
Yeah.
probably not going to be sarcastic and petty with the president."
Disrespectful.
But he said, "Well, sir, I'm helping to send a man to the moon."
Yeah.
And I've always loved that
I
story
love it.
because I believe that Joe got it.
Yeah.
He wasn't a NASA scientist. He wasn't a technician. He
Yeah.
wasn't a physicist or an engineer or any of the
But
other
he-
things that were
But
necessary
he
for
played
that
a part.
program.
Yeah.
But he played his part.
That's
He
right.
saw,
That
he
was
saw
so
a
important.
need. He
That's
saw a
right.
need.
Yes.
And
Say that one more
he
time.
saw a need.
Yes.
The floor was dirty and needed to be cleaning, and
Yeah.
he could clean it.
He could clean it.
Yes.
He could do his part. He could
Yeah.
play his part.
That's right.
And that is one step
Yeah.
in overcoming the bystander effect.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
this identity thing though does
Yeah.
touch yours
I know, I
because
was
of where
just
you
thinking
can't
that.
doubt.
Well, you know, because obviously the Bible calls us we're sons, we're the bride of Christ. So if you guys can be the bride of Christ, I can be a son.
Exactly.
So we're the bride of Christ, we're sons, we are friends, we're called friends. But also too, First Peter, the second chapter, verse 5, calls us something completely different. And that is, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood.
Yeah.
So there's another kind of aspect of our identity. And so I was week 1, and we kind of launched from there. And I've really just hit the priesthood, that we are that royal priesthood that First Peter talks about. But one of the things that I think really wars against that mindset in us as sons and daughters, as believers, is, and I love it, I heard a minister kind of bring this up, and it was such an aha moment, is that we live in America. I think, although yes, America has a lot of faults, we live in a great country.
Yeah,
You know, we truly
absolutely.
do, with a lot of freedoms. And so in America, we are we're groomed to be consumers, you know, where I pick what I want. I do things based on what I choose and what I desire and what I like or what I don't like. And so it is very easy to bring that mindset into the church, where I'm no longer a daughter of God, you know, presenting to God what he likes and what he desires.
Wow.
I'm sitting back waiting on, when are they going to sing my song? When are they going to, is the air
Wow.
temperature what I want it to be? Is is my church close enough, or is it too far? Is the service long? Is it short? Like, we're always, did they say things like I wanted them to say it? Did they handle situations like, and now I'm kind of getting into what we've just walked out of, like, are we, did they handle things right? Did they, and we come into the church with this mindset of, I'm a consumer, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say I'm a consumer. I am a priest, and I'm coming in and I'm saying, God, I'm here for you. Like, I didn't show up today with the mindset of, you should be happy I'm here. No, I showed up with the mindset of, God, I am here for you. What can I do for you today? What can I present to you? What do you like? What do you prefer?
That's good.
And so that's kind of where
It's
Yeah.
It's convicting.
it really was. It was very convicting.
Well, and it also is just a reminder of how we have allowed, Romans 12 tells us to not allow the culture of the world to become our culture.
Yes.
And we have allowed that in the body
Yes.
of Christ,
Yes.
to where now as leadership, we struggle
Yes.
with then catering to consumers,
Yes.
because we can't. Now, I don't believe that we should we should forget that the bulk of our population
Yeah.
don't have a priest mentality yet.
They don't.
And so we
Right,
can't forget
right,
that they're consumers.
right.
You know, could kind of play devil's advocate here for a
Yes.
second. We can't forget it,
Yes.
but at the same time, we can't exclusively cater to it.
Yes.
And then once we become believers, we got to walk out of that consumer
Yes.
mentality, and that's got to be fast.
Yes.
That's now there's a process to it. I get that, but we gotta drop that like a bad habit,
Yes.
because it will affect us,
Hmm.
and it will then, what she's talking about will then solidify what you've talked about in the burying for other reasons.
Hmm.
Now we're not dealing with an identity issue. Now we're dealing with I just don't like this. This is just not my thing.
Yeah.
This church isn't my cup of tea. You know, this isn't my
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
You know, all this
Yeah.
other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we'll bury it from a selfish perspective in regard to that, and not ever be who God's called us to be.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this,
Yeah.
because it's not really part of the series, but it touches it. We should be serving, we should be attending where God's told us to attend,
Yeah.
not the church of my choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that we can relate to that, because that's the way we live our lives.
Well, yeah, because God, as ministers, like God, where are you sending us?
What's my assignment?
What? Yes.
Often God will put you in a church that you wouldn't choose for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because I think a lot of times it's because you need to be placed in that church to make the changes that needs to happen.
Yeah.
To make it the church you
Yeah.
want to go to.
Exactly, because you have something to bring
Yeah.
that they're missing.
Well, what I've heard it said before is what frustrates you the most is probably what you're anointed to change.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah.
That's painful.
And sometimes the other side of this is sometimes that church has something that will offend you.
We'll challenge you on
Will
something.
challenge you. This is probably a better word.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe the gospel should be offensive. But,
Yes, it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you know, so if
Yeah.
that church puts you on edge, if that preacher puts you on edge,
There might be.
that might not be a bad
It
thing.
might
Yeah.
not be a
You
bad
might
thing.
need to
Yeah.
lean into that
Yeah.
and see what God is saying in the midst of that.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I do believe, and I kind of hit this
Mhm.
last Sunday,
Yeah.
I do believe that God has an assignment for every person.
Yes.
They look at me as the lead pastor and
Yeah.
just automatically say, yeah, God's got an assignment for him. But the same God that has an assignment for me is the same
Exactly.
God that has an
Yes.
assignment for them.
Yes.
And that's missed. Like, for instance, when my wife and I've talked about this in great detail in the last 30 years, I've never been able to live where I want to live.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not being able to just say, you know, I'd like to live in that city, and
Yeah.
then us get a job there and move there.
Yes.
You know, all of our moves, all of our jobs, all of the things that we've ever had
We're
in our
sent with
lives
an assignment.
have all been
Yeah.
assignment based.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, I don't want this to sound the wrong way. I feel like that living from that place is an internal deterrent to the bystander effect,
Mhm.
because you realize I'm on an assignment.
My life
So
is my
my
own.
life is not my own.
Yeah.
Absolutely, William McDowell song. So it's almost like that. It's almost like that oath that doctors take and nurses take,
Hmm.
that when they see someone in need,
Yes.
that they'll stop. As a matter of fact, we've got a good friend whose wife was
Yeah.
killed because she stopped on the side of the road as a nurse
Yes.
to help someone
I
and got
always-
hit
Yeah.
while she was trying to help them. And of course, the person didn't mean to. It was an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as in our culture,
Yeah.
a fireman, a police officer, but specifically a doctor or a nurse, even when they're not in their scrubs and they're not working, if they see someone in need, there's an assignment on their lives
Yeah.
to help that choking person in that restaurant or what have you.
Yeah.
So there's something that when we understand our assignment can help us automatically
Yes.
to say that the bystander effect is not an option for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That's not something that I have the luxury of even considering,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I have an assignment,
Yes.
Yes.
and my assignment
Was
rules
that-
out everything
'cause you
else.
took over you did week 3 and week 4. Was that week 3? Because I really enjoyed week 4, even though I didn't get to be in the building for it. But I loved week 4, which.
I honestly, what I just said right now, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
That's all what I was just
Okay.
sensing right
No, that is
in this
good.
moment.
It's good. Because I really wanted to dive into week 4 because I think a lot of people are, but I don't want to jump ahead.
No. You're good.
Yeah.
No, week 4, which
Yeah.
I don't even have that pulled up here.
It was so good.
Was my last one. Were you in there when I preached my last one this past Sunday? Were you in? I can't remember. Yeah, you were. You were in there on Sunday.
Just talking about, at least I think when we were discussing, just how consistency can be mundane, and when we're talking about serving and. Yes, here I am, Lord, send me. Out the gate, it sounds exciting, and I can't wait. Like, put me on the team, put me in, coach.
Yeah.
But then there does come a point where it's like, whew, it's Sunday and it's early and it's raining and I don't, there's, that consistency. Are you going to be responsible? Are you going to be consistent?
We look at it as optional.
Yes.
And it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
And honestly, guys, I wish that I had this revelation before I preached the sermon on understanding.
That's why we do Harvest Unpacked.
And this is true, understanding your assignment, because that helps us with our consistency.
Yes.
I don't feel like it, but I have an assignment.
Yes.
And if I'm not in my place for my assignment, who might miss the opportunity to see Jesus? In the only expression that they could see Jesus in me.
Yeah.
When I don't understand that assignment. So it will allow consistency to be optional.
Yeah.
When I don't have that level of the knowledge of my assignment. And it will cause there to be inconsistency. And that's the problem. We were ministering to someone earlier.
Yes.
And the problem was there has been such inconsistency on the part of Christians that it causes them to not want to be a part.
Yes.
It's almost like Gandhi.
Yeah.
Gandhi, when he read about Jesus, when he discovered the things of Jesus, he said, I would be a follower of Jesus if it weren't for Christians.
Yeah.
That is
painful.
painful.
That's a painful reality, but it's so true. So it's our inconsistency that we need to really work on.
Yes. You made a statement too, didn't you?
Well, the statement Craig Rochelle took John Maxwell's statement he made years ago and kind of made a 2.0 version of it, that successful people do consistently what others do occasionally.
Yes.
And that's true.
So
Successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. And that is the pattern and the mark. And for Cornelius, it was an attention grabber for God.
Yeah.
His consistency of giving the offerings, of giving the prayers,
Yeah.
even though he was not biologically, he was not a Jew. He didn't go through the ritualistic things to become a Jew, but he began to practice Judaism in his worship. And his consistency.
Yeah.
I think it's in the King James that it says it's stacked up as a memorial before God. And God, I want God's our consistency as a body to stack up before God as a memorial.
I think oftentimes when you bring it like the Gandhi quote, and the whole idea where often the clapback to that is, well, are you following the Christians or are you following Jesus?
That's true.
And I'm like, but Jesus, we're called to be the light.
Exactly.
So we're called to bring Jesus into this world.
Yeah.
So that's an excuse.
Yes.
That's an excuse to be inconsistent. That's an excuse to not be Jesus.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it doesn't hold water.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So good.
And I think you said it years ago. I think you read it, but then it became a statement of yours. I would rather go to church with some hypocrites than to hell with all of them.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
And
That's a good one.
that's pretty powerful. But it's true.
Well, just as pastors, when we're looking out at the people that God's graced us to minister to, they're all at different stages of. And I think we sometimes lose sight of that everybody that comes to church, they're at a different place in their walk with God. And
Which is why I love grace,
yes, me too.
because that's exactly what God has measured to
Yes,
us,
yes,
and we have to in turn measure that to one another.
exactly.
We're going to do our part with the
Yeah.
grace that God has given to us. And I said
Yeah.
this on Sunday. I want to reiterate
Yeah.
it now as we kind of close
It's
things
good.
out.
Yeah,
And that's the fact that we're going to train you.
yeah,
We're going to cover you. We're
Yeah.
going to make sure that there's a relief for you so that you're not burned out. What
Yeah.
we ask is that you join us
yeah,
in the assignment and be
Yeah.
consistent.
yes.
And whether go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say because I know that there's not just Harvest people watching.
Yeah, I'm glad you're making that shift, that
But
pivot.
yeah, truly, it is. It's very difficult to be pastored if you're not either in a connect group or serve team. Obviously, for some churches, it's not called connect groups. It's Sunday school or it's
Life groups,
small groups. Here at Harvest, we call them connect groups, and then we have serve teams. There are a lot of people that are on the fringes and they get their feelings hurt by it, but they are not involved in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage you, whether you attend Harvest or you don't, get involved in your church. Like
Yes.
you're going to truly you are needed. But we, as human beings, we have two needs. We want to be needed and known. Whether you think that's the case or not, that truly is. We all want to be needed and known. And just to rush in as church is starting and rush out, you're not going to be needed and known.
And what happens in a lot of people's lives like that, like you're
Yeah.
saying, is then they get to a point in their lives where they're hospitalized or tragedy comes to
And
their
there's
home.
no community around them.
And
Yes.
then they get upset because they've not been pastored.
Yes.
And then they leave the church because they haven't been pastored,
Yeah.
but they haven't put themselves in a position
Yes.
to be pastored.
Yes.
And that's what serving produces. So
Yes.
just like she said,
Yep.
whether you're at Harvest or another church, serve.
Serve.
Be faithful
Yeah.
at the church
Join
that God
in
has
the
called you
Bible
to.
study.
Get
Join in the
involved.
small
Get messy. Ministry is messy.
It is.
Get
It is.
messy.
If you're part of a church, your absence should be felt.
It should be.
Absolutely. Say that
Yes.
one more time.
If you're part of a church, if you're part of a congregation, whether it's
Yes.
Harvest or another congregation, your absence should be felt.
Yes.
They
And-
should know when you're not there.
That's right.
And honestly, guys, they really do.
Yeah.
They really do. And I think we miss because of our assignment, because of our lack of
Yeah.
identity. We don't realize how important
Yes.
everyone is.
That's right.
And well, I just sit there. No,
Yeah.
you don't. You're a part.
Yeah.
You are a
Yeah.
part.
And I want, with the last few minutes, because it's been such a great discussion, it's been a great month. I've
It
really
really
enjoyed
has.
this series.
Yeah.
Also enjoyed our Bible reading plan,
Yeah.
the book of Acts. So the whole month of September, 28 chapters in Acts, 30 days in September. So we actually started the book of John yesterday, and that's great as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed the book of Acts. It's, I was telling these guys, it either read like a mafia movie or like a gladiator Roman
Yeah.
movie. It was
a little bit
just,
of both.
Yeah.
yes,
Definitely.
it was so good. So I want to encourage you, if you did not read the book of Acts, it's great. And if you're not enjoying the word, I want to encourage you to get a translation that you can understand
Yeah.
and really dive in. But we're starting, it's not too late. Join us. We're reading the book of John for the month of October. And we're also jumping into love letters and really falling in love with the Bible.
The Word of God.
Yes.
That's our next series
Yeah.
for the month of October.
Yes.
So, hey guys, thank you for watching and being a part of our
thank you.
podcast today. Share it. If it's meant something to you, let us know. Give us some kickback. Give us some feedback.
Yes.
We would love that. But let me bless you now. I bless you
Yes.
from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. I would that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. I claim abundance and supernatural increase to become one with you all the days of your lives. And all of your getting and understanding, don't just discover, but fulfill your destiny. And we'll see you again real soon.
Yes.
Have a good day.